Thanks to the supporters of channel member Felix Bjorkman. Well then, boys and girls, that was an eventful transfer window, but I actually think we have put together a squad that might just have a chance of staying in the Premier League. We'll know for sure after these couple of matches, because we're playing against a couple of teams that we need to be able to pick up points against if we are going to survive. Hello and welcome to Club 2, Part 15 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kevin, coming up on today's episode with our first two games ever in the Premier League. We're at home against Everton, away against Leicester. If you missed the transfer video yesterday, you should go back and watch it. We signed some absolute gems. The highlights, Brian Brobby, I think he's going to be a bit of a superstar for us as an attacker. Russell Ross is going to be a major star for us on the right-hand side. And probably the pick of the bunch, Ulysse de Klerk, who is a big boy at centre-back who is going to, he's just going to be a star. He's an actual wonder kid. We have an actual wonder kid at Preston North End, and that is very exciting stuff. With all those transfers as well, we've managed to somehow not completely wreck team dynamics, which is a big bonus. I think for the first time since I've been here, we've got not a single player who has an issue or an unhappiness of any kind. Weirdly, I've only got average managerial support, despite getting the club to the Premier League for the first time in their history. And there being no negatives. But that aside, I think we're doing all right. I'm doing a fine, if unspectacular, job of leading the club. We're Preston in the Premier League. There is no pleasing some people, and this is our team for our first game in the Premier League against Everton. We have new boy, 18-year-old goalkeeper, Zelmar Blanco, our fickle 18-year-old Uruguayan international goalkeeper, starts in goal. That probably raises some questions. Ballo Torre, another one of our new signings in at left back, alongside Dishon Bernard, who of course was here last year, and the new wonder kid, de Klerk, alongside him. Rule Walters, another one of our new signings, also starting at right back. We've got Harvey White at the base of the midfield. Another new boy, Rafa, is going to be starting in central midfield alongside Chong. Woodburn on the left. Another new boy, Russell Ross, on the right-hand side. And then Adam Eder up front, fresh off the back of scoring 28 goals in the Championship last year. He'll feel like he has a point to prove in the Premier League, because the last time he was at this level, he scored one goal all season. He's got to be better than that, hasn't he? Let's get this team submitted. My one worry is that this system that we've used that's got us here might be a little bit extravagant for playing as a really rubbish team in the Premier League, but I think it'll get the best out of these players. So I think it is just going to come down to, believe it or not, are the players good enough for the Premier League? If we've got enough players in the squad who are good enough for the Premier League, we'll survive. It sounds simple, and it really is that simple. There's question marks over a few of them. Some of them have been released by Premier League clubs in the past. Some of them have never had an opportunity at this level. Some of them are youngsters who are completely untried, and it's just going to come down to how many of them are good enough to play in the Premier League this season. If we've got 10 or 12 players in this squad who are Premier League players, we'll survive. Adam Eder, he had the opportunity less than a minute into our Premier League adventure. He had a chance as good as any that he had last season and has somehow turned it wide of the post. And he's not going to get as many chances this year as he had last year. I don't think he can be affording to miss chances in that way. I've just noticed they've got Woodman in goal, of course, who was our goalkeeper when I arrived. Selling him to Everton for £5.5 million is where this journey began. That was how we funded that first batch of transfers. Danny Hudson, who we also then sold to Everton, at Darlington, all those boys, they were funded by selling Woodman. And Eder is in behind again, one-on-one with Woodman, and this time he does score. And it's Adam Eder with his first goal back in the Premier League after a number of years away. And equally important, Russell Ross with the assist as well. Huge hopes being pinned on him on this right-hand side. Rafa plays it out to Ross. Ross takes a couple of touches and then plays an absolute beauty of a pass into the path of Eder, and Woodman, back at Deepdale for I think the first time since we sold him, has conceded to Adam Eder. We're in the Champions League spots. Boys and girls, we're going to the Champions League. It's going to be the shortest non-league to legend ever. We win the league this year, Champions League next year. By February, we're off in some Danish league doing some weird thing. That is not an announcement of a future save. I have no plans for a future save at the moment. Obviously, Nottingham's Legend isn't going to finish yet. Look at us, though. Don't we look good? Remember, Everton were poor. They were down in our league the year we sold Woodman to them. So this isn't a great Everton team. I mean, to be fair, they're not a great team in real life at the moment either, are they? So we probably don't need to add that disclaimer on. Walters hits the post. I tell you what, if we'd have gone 2-0 up in the first half there, that would have been absolutely delightful. Alas, we did not. It remains 1-0. We've had some good chances, though. What I'd really like is another goal, please. If the Football Manager gods are paying attention, I would very much like another goal, because I've been down this road before, and I know it usually ends with conceding a sloppy late goal against the established Premier League team. And I'd rather not do that. Danny Hudson's not on the bench, by the way, for Everton. I wonder, should we be... I mean, I don't know that we should even be looking to bring him back. I think we've actually moved on beyond him. I was looking at his sell-on, wondering if we just take the £2 million that we're being offered now for his sell-on clause, because I'm not sure he's going to make it at this level. Ross is an infinitely better player, I think. He wasn't necessarily showing it there. Walters running the wrong way, but there's Harvey White sat at the base of the midfield. He's had one little error today that he's rescued himself from, but we are just about keeping hold of the ball, although this little short passing game that we are so good at is causing us problems. But I tell you what, Russell Ross and Adam Eder combining are causing Everton problems. It's almost a carbon copy of the first goal. Ross was signed because of his physicality. He's 6 foot tall. He's very quick. He's a big, strong, fast boy. But his 2 contributions so far, he's not even had to move his feet. They've been like netball plays. He's taken it into feet, picked his spot and played it in behind for Adam Eder, and he's done it perfectly twice now. That is already looking like a very impressive combination up top. And it is Preston 2, Everton 0. Wonderful stuff. And now we are looking at the bench and wondering what we're going to do just to keep things nice and fresh amongst these boys. Ben Woodburn has not had the best of times, so I think a debut for Sartori on the left-hand side is definitely in order. I'm looking at the bench, trying to find Thierry Small, but he's not there. So Ballo-Toure is going to play the full match. We also don't have Darlington to bring on for Walters. This all seems very silly. What we will do is bring on Ben Whiteman for Rafa, and he can drop back and Harvey White can go forward into that box-to-box midfielder role, where I think Harvey White probably is at his best in that role. If we get this defensive midfielder from West Ham, I think we might end up starting him at the base of the midfield and moving White forward as the box-to-box midfielder. Walters is tiring, so I think we're going to push Deshaun Bernard out to right back, where he played so often last year, bring on 6'5" Finley Burns to play at the back. And Adam Eder is also tiring. So a debut for Brian Brobby up front. And I don't think we need to fiddle with too many more changes. We don't want to start making some of the same mistakes we've made in previous seasons where we changed too much. But at the same time, I am excited to see these new players. I want to have a look at all of them. And Everton now camping out on the edge of our area. Blanco is beaten there, but luckily the crossbar is there to do our defending for us. If he can keep a clean sheet on his debut against an Everton team with Woodman in goal, I think that sends a nice message about the progress we've made in the year and a half we've been here at Preston. De Klerk, across to Burns, back to Blanco. We all seem very comfortable on the ball, just knocking the ball around like this. I suspect there'll be tougher challenges than Everton when it comes to that pressing from the attacking players, but certainly in this match, that one Harvey White moment aside, we've looked very comfortable knocking the ball around between the goalkeeper, the defenders, the defensive midfielder. It's just a little bit scary, the idea of doing that against Manchester City. Brobby now picking up the ball deep, gives it to Chong. Chong has got Ross if he wants to use him, pulling away on this right-hand side, and there is Russell Ross. He's played another beauty of a pass, and it's a hat-trick of assists for Russell Ross and Harvey White, demonstrating that he probably is the answer as our box-to-box midfielder, because he bursts forward. I think it was a pass that was probably intended for Brobby, but White's having none of it, and he's just going to fly out of central midfield and grab the goal for himself. Russell Ross is a creative genius. 3 assists for him on his debut. He looks like an absolute superstar, and he's not doing what I signed him to do. I think we probably just leave him to it. And it looks like Blanco's going to be robbed of a clean sheet on his debut, unless he's going to take this as an opportunity to show just how good he is, because we've given away a penalty. It's Sartori with the handball. It's ultimately not going to matter, but it is Blanco facing the penalty from, I don't know who this is, Nzola for Everton. And it is a consolation goal, hopefully, for Everton. It means we don't have to pay clean sheet bonuses. It's less of an issue. Now we're a rich Premier League club, but it is a shame that Blanco's been robbed of a clean sheet on his debut, because he's looked the part. I mean, he has looked like a Premier League sweeper keeper. So I'm happy with everything I've seen there. What a start to the season. Well, the fella from West Ham didn't get his work permit, so decision is kind of forced upon me. It's an easy one to make. Sean Longstaff is the final piece of the puzzle, who comes in, box-to-box midfielder, who can also play as a more tough tackling version of the holding midfield player if we decide to go down that route. He's not had a huge amount of football in recent years, although did play once for Brentford already this season and score, but they hadn't been using him in the Premier League, really, since spending quite a lot of money to take him away from Newcastle, where he'd been a first-choice player. 31 appearances for Newcastle, although, to be fair, only 9 of them were starts in that first season. But since then, he's very much been a Brentford reserve in the Premier League. I suspect we'll use him a little bit more than Brentford have done. He's not necessarily going to be a nailed-on starter every week, but I think he's going to be a useful addition to the squad. And that is a squad that is now finished. There's not really any more money to spend. If we do any more business, it's going to be because we've sold somebody, and I don't anticipate selling anybody. So I think that's probably that for transfers. Now we just need to go and see how we get on in our first away game against Leicester. A couple of changes for the Leicester game then, just really trying things out. It's early days in the season. Pascozzi's going to come in and play alongside de Klerk. We're going to try Carrasco in midfield alongside Rafa. Sartori is going to start on the left. It's only been a couple of days since the game against Everton, so we need to be mindful of rotating. Quick Pick was so desperate to rotate that it wanted to play Brobby ahead of Ida and didn't even have Adam Ida on the bench after scoring 2 goals against Everton. I had a thorough inspection of him to make sure there was no injuries, didn't notice any, no idea why Quick Pick would want to do that. But as I think I mentioned a couple of episodes ago, Quick Pick on FM23, not the best friend that I used to have on previous versions of Football Manager. Does make some weird decisions from time to time. I have to think for myself and pick teams on my own, and the hardships we have to go through now that Quick Pick doesn't quite behave the way I want it to. But I am very keen to see how Carrasco gets on today. I've talked a lot as if he is not yet Premier League quality. If he can come on and put out a Premier League quality performance in that box-to-box midfield role, it kind of negates the need for us to have spent less than £1 million on Longstaff. I was going to say all that money. He really wasn't that expensive. I'm also very keen to see a performance from Sartori. I think Woodburn on the left-hand side was probably the big disappointment of that first game. He didn't really seem to offer very much there at all. So hopefully Sartori can offer a little bit more. That was sloppy from us. I said that this patient passing play that we like might cause problems. De Klerk just wanted too long on the ball there. He's a wonder kid, but he's intercepted that nicely. And rather than just clearing it, booting it out to touch, playing it out to the left back, he's tried to take a touch so that he can then stand, have a look around, decide where to pass it. And while he's stopping and turning, Leicester just nip in, take the ball off him. And it is a sloppy goal, and it is going to be a danger when we play against teams that press us, which is why I'm not entirely sure we're going to be able to do this system all season. We actually play Manchester City next, which thankfully is going to be off camera, because I think I'm going to end up with a bloodied nose on that one and YouTube would demonetize it. But yeah, there might have been some decisions made before the next episode about the future of this system. Because as much as it looks nice when it works, it makes us look very silly when it doesn't work. And we could really do with getting ourselves back into this game. There is the interception from de Klerk this time. He has learnt from his previous mistake. He got the ball. I mean, he still didn't clear it. I don't think it's in his nature. He wins the ball back and runs past his player this time, rather than trying to take the touch and look for the pass, which I guess is an improvement on what he did the first time. The boy learns quick. Ball over the top from Walters, looking for Ross, doesn't find him. And now Leicester are trying to build down this left-hand side again. And they've cut inside nicely, but Blanco is there to make the save. And we could really do with an equaliser around now, please. I mean, oh my word. Yeah, I mean, that is a big ball from Blanco. Goodness me, is Blanco going to have an assist here? He's not, but I think he'd had enough of the short passing play and just decided to get the ball forward. An 18-year-old with decision-making and a kick like that. I mean, that does change things when it comes to what the sensible thing to do with this system is as well. If he can kick it that far, was that just a fluke? Was that a weird graphical glitch? Or can he actually kick it 1,000 miles? I mean, it doesn't indicate that he can. That might have just been a weird glitch. Let's not read too much into it. But he did nearly pick up an assist. Right. We need to make some changes. We are not playing great. And we still don't have Darlington on the bench. Come on, Kev. You're better than this. Pascozzi can go out to right back. Burns is going to come on to play centre back. Ross, after his phenomenal performance in the last match, is going to come off early, and Brobby's going to come on that right-hand side. And I think we're probably going to change up the midfield as well. And I want to get Longstaff in for his debut. So I think just a straight swap for Carrasco seems to make sense in there. See if Longstaff can give us a little bit more with that little bit of extra experience that he's got. Not that he's got a lot of recent experience. Carrasco's played more games recently than Sean Longstaff has, but he did score last week for Brentford. Sartore's not had the best of times on his debut, so Chong can come on and play on that left-hand side. It's not his debut, is it? He played in the previous match as well. And I think we're going to take off Rafa in midfield as well. I'm going to bring on Sunjic to play as the Mezzala. There's probably a much more sensible argument for putting Chong in there and Woodburn out there, but Woodburn just wasn't that impressive in the first match, and I want to give everyone an opportunity early on. And Sunjic, especially with Brobby now at the club, is going to get less chance to play up front, and might need to try and make this Mezzala position his if he's going to break into the team this season. You know what? A 1-0 defeat away against Leicester for the newly promoted team. It's not a disaster. It's fine. We just need to hope it doesn't happen too often. We're obviously going to drop points against City as well, but that Burnley game becomes very important, as does the Fulham one there. And we just need to get to 40 points. That's all it is. And hopefully we'll have at least one more win under our belts by the time we come back for tomorrow's episode. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.